through
You know
more
her
than most
face.
people will ever know.
Everybody did.
This is the real story of
early
one of
90s,
fashion's most
it was
recognizable faces.
Her image
Not the
appeared on
photos,
glossy magazine
not the headlines,
covers,
the
across
actual
massive
life.
billboards, in
Before the
music videos
runways, the
playing
music
on every
videos, or
TV
the
screen,
magazine covers,
and in every
Helena
fashion
Christensen
campaign
was
that
just a
mattered.
quiet kid growing up in
Helena
Copenhagen.
Christensen was one of the
Born on
defining
Christmas Day,
supermodels of her generation.
1968, she was raised by a
wasn't
Danish
just a model,
father and
she was
approved
part of an
into
era
an
that
instant
celebrated
classic,
beauty, confidence,
and it made her
global fame.
unforgettable.
But while
From
the
there,
world was
Helena
obsessed
was
with the
everywhere.
image, very
Vogue,
few people
Elle,
truly knew the
Harper's
person
Bazaar.
behind it.
She walked for
The
Chanel,
smile, the
Versace,
eyes,
Valentino,
the poise all became
YSL.
symbols of glamour.
She became the face of Revlon.
Yet behind those
Her
famous
guest campaigns,
photos was a woman with
drenched
her own
in
quiet
sun and
thoughts,
attitude,
emotions,
were
and
pasted on
experiences
billboards
that few
across
ever saw.
continents. Be a mother.
I mean,
It
of
was an
course
unusual
changes
mix
you,
in Denmark at
she
the time,
once said,
and
reflecting
one that
on
would
fame.
quietly shape her long
But,
before fashion
you know,
did.
I feel like
Helena
it
once
changed me in
described
an
her
okay,
mother as
decent
passionate,
way.
artistic,
I
and
think
intense,
you just got to be open.
and her father as calm,
You got to be open for
organized,
whatever
and
is out
deeply
there
grounded.
and, you know, try not
Somewhere
to be
in
too
between
cynical.
those two energies is where
Let it all
Peel.
in and experience life
There was
as it
never
happens.
one clear answer.
She wasn't chasing the
But
spotlight.
fame comes with pressure,
She didn't have to.
even if you don't feed
But
it.
somehow, she
The
still
schedules
became
got
one
tougher.
of the most memorable
Flights,
names in fashion and
fittings,
stayed
shows,
that way long
shoots,
after others faded.
sometimes all in the same week.
This isn't just
Models
a
were
story
expected
about
to be
beauty.
icons on demand.
It's a
And
story
at that
about
level,
what
there
came
wasn't
with it,
room
the
to slow
cost,
down.
the
It
pressure,
took stamina,
the silence,
and it
the
wore
relationships
people
that
down,
unraveled
and
under
not
the
always
spotlight.
forgiving.
It's
Models
about
were
the grueling
expected to
schedules,
glide through
the
castings
constant
with
travel,
polish
and the
and
quiet decision
confidence.
to step behind the camera
Helena
just
showed
when
up in
she could have
secondhand
stayed in
clothes,
front of it forever.
barely speaking French,
Helena
and
wasn't
still stood
trying to
out.
be seen, but she saw it
Photographers
all.
weren't looking for perfect.
She lived through more than
They were
most
looking
people
for
will ever
real,
understand.
and Helena gave them that.
This is the real story
without
of one
trying.
of fashion's
No one
most
ever told me to
recognizable
change
faces.
anything about
Not the
my
photos,
looks, or
not
my
the headlines, but
personality.
the actual
But
life
for whatever
behind
is
them.
out there, and
Before the
try not to be
runways,
too cynical,
before the music videos,
let it all
before the
in
glossy
and experience
covers,
life as it
Helena
happens.
Christensen was just
She
a
wasn't
quiet
chasing
kid
the
growing
spotlight.
up in Copenhagen.
She didn't have to.
Born on
But
Christmas
somehow,
Day,
she still became one of the
1968,
most memorable
she came
names
into the
in
world
fashion.
in winter, surrounded
and stayed
by
that
snow
way.
and family warmth.
But this isn't just a
She
story
was
about
raised
beauty.
by a Danish father and a
They
Peruvian
don't
mother,
care
an
about
unusual
it. They
combination
just do
in
it,
Denmark
and
at that
it comes
time,
out in the magazine,
one that made her a
and
little
that's
different
it.
in
Here
a
it's
place
like
where
the
everyone
whole
seemed the
hysteria
same.
about this business.
That blend of cultures
contrast
quietly shaped
stuck
her
with
long
her.
before fashion did.
But she adapted.
Helena once
She
described
always
her
did.
mother as passionate, artistic,
What
and
helped
intense,
was that
a
Helena
woman full
didn't
of
seem to
color
need to
and feeling.
perform.
Her
She
father,
seemed to
by
land.
contrast,
She
was
grew up
calm,
speaking multiple
organized,
languages:
and deeply
Danish,
grounded.
Spanish, English,
Somewhere
Swedish, a bit
between
of
those
French.
two energies
Not
is where
because she was
Helena
chasing
seemed to land,
sophistication,
creative but steady,
but because she had
curious
to.
yet composed.
Nobody speaks Danish,
She grew up
once said
speaking
dryly,
multiple
so you just
languages:
adapt.
Danish, Spanish,
Helena's early
English,
life wasn't glamorous.
Swedish, and
She's
even
talked
a bit
about
of
how
French.
normal it all felt.
It
A modest
wasn't about
home,
showing
quiet
off.
routines,
It
days
was
spent
simply
between school and
survival.
long walks with her mom.
Nobody speaks
But
Danish,
even back then,
she once joked.
something about her stood out.
So you just
Her
adapt.
eyes were striking.
Her early
Her
life
expression
wasn't
always a little
glamorous.
unreadable.
She has said
She
many
didn't dress
times that
Buddhist,
it all felt normal.
and Helena Christensen was
A
right
modest
in the
home,
middle of it.
simple
The supermodel
routines,
era was in
long
full
school
swing.
days, and quiet
Faces
walks
weren't
with
just
her
on
mother
magazine
through the city.
covers. They were part
But
of the
even in
culture.
that quiet,
They
something
opened
about her
shows,
stood out.
closed deals,
Her
and
eyes were
moved through the
striking,
world like rock
her
stars.
expression always a little
Helena had
unreadable.
become one of them.
She didn't
Instantly
dress for
recognizable,
attention.
constantly in
She didn't
demand.
speak to impress.
But she didn't move like
And
the
maybe
others.
that was
You know her
exactly
face.
what made people
Everybody
look
did.
twice.
In the early
Growing up
90s,
tall
it was
and skinny
everywhere.
made her an easy
On magazine
target.
covers, on
teasing
billboards,
stayed
in
with
music
her.
videos,
It
and
doesn't
in
go
every
away,
fashion campaign
she
that
once
mattered.
said. You
Helena
just learn how
Christensen
to
was one of
carry
the
it
defining
differently.
supermodels of her attention.
By her teens,
She didn't
she
speak
was
to
already
impress.
being noticed.
And maybe that's
At
what
just
made people
17,
stop and look.
She entered and won the Miss Universe
She's
Denmark pageant.
since shared
She
that growing up
represented
tall
her
and
country
skinny
at
made
the
her an easy
international
target.
competition that year.
The teasing
but
stuck
she didn't
with her.
love the experience.
It doesn't go away,
It
she
felt
once
too
said.
staged.
You just
too
learn how to
rehearsed,
carry it differently.
Too far from real life.
By her teens, she was
What
already
came
being
next suited
scouted.
her more. The Ford
At 17,
Models
she
Look of the Year
entered
contest
and won
in
the
1987.
Miss Universe Denmark pageant.
She didn't win.
She represented
but she
her
didn't
country
have
at the
to.
international
The
competition that
fashion
year,
world had already
but she
begun
didn't
to
love
take
the
notice.
experience. It felt
Soon
too
after,
staged,
she left
too
Denmark
rehearsed.
for Paris. It
What came
sounds
next
like a fairy
suited
tale.
her
A
more.
teenage teenager boarding a plane,
The Ford model's
landing in
Look
one
of the
the
Year
world's
contest
fashion
in
capitals,
1980
and
generation.
starting work with the
But
biggest
while the
names
world
in
was
the
obsessed
industry.
with the image,
But the
very
truth
few
was far
people knew
less
the person
glamorous.
behind it.
I mean,
It was
of course, it
unfamiliar,
changes you, but
fast,
you know,
and
I
overwhelming.
feel like it changed me.
She
in
was
an
barely out of
okay,
high school,
decent way.
still learning
I
the
think
business,
you just gotta be
navigating
open.
a
You gotta
world
be
of
open for
castings,
His moody black
new
and white
expectations,
editorials brought
and a
out
culture
Helena's
that
quiet
treated fashion
intensity.
like religion.
Then came
I've
Peter
been modeling
Lindbergh,
in Paris for
who
about
never
2
wanted
years,
perfection,
she once
just
explained.
emotion.
And then I
With
did some
him,
back in Denmark,
Helena
but
didn't
it's
look like a
completely
model.
different.
She looked
You know,
like someone with a
doing
story.
it here and doing it there.
Then came Herb
Here,
Ritz.
It's people's life.
In
the designers,
1991,
the
Helena
photographers.
starred in the
There's
now
so much
iconic
into it.
music video for Chris
In
Isaac's
Denmark,
Wicked Game.
nobody really cares about
Ritz
it.
directed it.
They just do
No
it and
script,
it comes out in a
no
magazine
dialogue.
and that's it.
Just a
Here,
beach in Hawaii,
it's like a whole
2
hysteria
bodies,
about this
wind,
business.
water. Never made
That
herself the
contrast
center of the
stuck with her.
conversation, but
But,
later said she
as
wished more
always,
people had been
she
encouraged to
adapted.
talk about what they were going
Helena
through.
never needed
At the
to
time, she
perform.
said, "You're in a different
She
city
wasn't
every
the
day.
loudest in the
There's
room.
pressure to be on all the
She
time."
didn't try to sell a persona.
But I never wanted to pretend.
She simply had a
I just
presence,
needed
a
to find quiet when I
that
could.
translated
And still,
through every frame.
the industry couldn't get
When
enough
Helena
of her.
Christensen
She
arrived
was
in
one of the
Paris,
original
she
Victoria's
wasn't
Secret
a star
faces
yet,
before the
just a
angel
young
wings
woman
took over
with
the
a
brand.
portfolio and a one-way
She worked
ticket.
with the best,
But
and
it
they
didn't
kept calling
take long
her
for people
and
to
a
notice
feeling.
something different.
She was very nice.
She
She was
didn't
a real
walk
good
into
sport.
rooms
Chris and
demanding
I,
attention.
we had a
Yet
good
the camera
time.
People
couldn't
say, "Oh
look
yeah,
away.
what a great job! You got
That
to go out
subtle,
and lay around on the beach."
thoughtful
But
presence,
they
like
kept
she
throwing
was saying
buckets of
more than
water
she
on
was
her
saying,
to make
became
her
her
look wet.
signature.
She was like
Paris in the
shivering.
late 80s was fast,
And then I was looking at her
intense,
feet. There was
and
blood
not
all over her
always
feet because
forgiving.
rocks, this coral rocks
Models
are
were
like
expected
glass,
to
kept
glide
coming
through
up and hitting her.
castings with poise
And
and
she never
polish.
complained.
Helena
The shoot
showed
wasn't
up
glamorous,
in second-hand
Sana.
clothes, barely
If anything,
speaking
she
French,
treated fame like a
and
side
still
effect.
stood out.
Not the point.
Photographers
That approach
weren't
stood
looking
out,
for perfect.
especially in the early 90s
They
when
were
the
looking
fashion
for real,
industry
and
was
Helena
booming
gave
into
them that
full-on
without even
spectacle.
trying.
Models
No one
were
ever
becoming
told me to
tabloid
change
names.
anything about my looks or my
The
personality.
drama wasn't
she
just on the
said once.
catwalk. It was
And
still
maybe
Helena
that's what
Christensen
gave us
arrived in
longevity
Paris.
in a
She
business
wasn't a
where
star
everything
yet,
is fickle.
just a young woman with a
Her first
portfolio
big
and a
moment
one-way
came with
ticket.
photographer
But it didn't
Fabrizio
take
Ferri,
long for people to
whose
notice
moody
something
black
different.
and white
She didn't walk into
editorials
rooms with a
revealed Helena's quiet
performance.
intensity.
She didn't chase attention.
Then came Peter Lindbergh,
But
who saw
the camera
emotion
noticed
over
her anyway.
perfection. With
That
him,
presence,
Helena didn't
like she
look
was
like a
seeing
model.
more than she was saying,
She looked like
became
someone
her
with a
signature.
story.
Paris in the
Then
late
came
80s
Herb
was
Ritz,
fast,
who directed
intense,
her in one of the most
sometimes
iconic
fast.
music videos
Behind
of
the
the
scenes,
1990s.
plenty of
Chris
them broke
Isaac's
under
Wicked
it.
Game. There was
Helena
no
never
script,
spoke much about it
no
at the
dialogue,
time.
just a beach
Hardly
in
anyone
Hawaii,
did.
two people, the ocean,
But the toll
the
on
wind,
mental health
and
was
pure
real.
emotion.
She later
shoot
reflected
wasn't
on
glamorous.
how relentless
The
the
water was
pace could
cold.
be, and how
The
easily
volcanic
people
rock
burned
cut
out
their
under the
feet.
pressure to stay thin.
Buckets of water were thrown
C7.
to make her look wet.
She didn't win,
But Helena never
but she didn't need
complained.
to.
Her stillness
The
in
fashion
that video,
world had
the way
already
she
started
looked
paying
just past
attention.
the camera, burned into people's
Soon after,
memories.
she left Denmark for
It
Paris.
turned a love song
It sounds
into
like a fairy
timeless
tale.
moment,
A
and it
teenager
made her
boards a plane,
unforgettable.
lands in one of the
From
world's
there,
fashion capitals,
Helena
and
was
starts
everywhere.
working
Vogue,
into headlines.
Elle, Harper's
But
Bazaar.
Helena kept a kind of distance
She
from
walked
it.
for Chanel,
Not aloof,
Versace,
just aware of how
Valentino,
quickly it could all
Yves
start
Saint
owning
Laurent.
you.
She
worked
became the face
constantly,
of Revlon and countless other
but
brands.
she didn't chase
Yet
coverage.
she stayed grounded.
She didn't talk about her private
she rarely
life.
gave interviews.
And when magazines tried to pin
she
her
avoided
down,
overexposure.
define her look,
While the
her-
industry chased
but
celebrity,
behind it all was
Helena
still
remained
that
just
quiet
slightly
girl
out
from
of frame, close
Copenhagen.
enough to feel present.
She once said she
but
never
distant
had a
enough to
plan.
stay interesting.
She just listened to what
She
felt
could shift
right,
easily,
and
romantic
that
one
trust
moment,
in her own instinct
androgynous the next,
became the through
soft,
line of
sharp,
everything she did.
mysterious, or
By the
simple.
early 1990s,
Whatever
fashion
the
was at
shoot
its loudest.
demanded,
She wasn't the loudest
she
in
met
the
it without
room.
forcing
She wasn't
anything.
trying to sell a persona.
Behind all
She
the
just had a
glamour was still
presence,
that quiet
a
girl
kind of
from
quiet
Copenhagen,
confidence that translated,
guided by instinct more
even
than
when
strategy.
she said very little.
By the
Photographers
early 90s,
noticed,
fashion
designers
had exploded
noticed.
into spectacle.
And the girl who had
Models
grown up
were no
between two
longer just
cultures was
faces,
now
they were
making a name for
cultural
herself
icons,
on a third.
commanding
When
global
Helena
attention.
distant enough to
Helena
stay
was
interesting.
among the most recognized.
She could be
but she
romantic
never
one
seemed
moment,
consumed by
androgynous
it.
the next.
I've
Soft,
never had a strategy,
sharp, mysterious,
she said.
simple.
I've
Whatever
just
the shoot
followed
called
my
for.
instinct.
Helena could meet
If I
it
don't like something,
without
I
overselling
walk
it.
away from it.
She didn't
Fame,
project
to
something
her,
onto the camera.
was a side
She just
effect,
let
never
it
the
find
goal.
what was already there.
She gave
Stay
what was
perfect.
needed, then
Stay
stepped
relevant.
away. No entourage,
She's been open in more
no
recent
chaos,
years about how important it is
just
for models
simplicity.
to protect their
That
well-being,
restraint became
to
her
speak up,
strength.
ask for help,
But
and know
fame,
when to walk away.
even when ignored,
Nobody talked about
brings
mental
pressure.
health back then.
Endless
She said in an
schedules,
interview.
long
Now I
flights,
make sure they know it's okay
expectations
to.
stay
She
perfect.
it's about the cost
The toll
and
was
everything
real.
that came with it.
Many models
The
burned
pressure,
out quietly.
the silence, the
Few spoke
relationships
about it
that
then,
unraveled under the
but Helena
spotlight,
has since shared
the
how vital
grueling
it is to
schedules,
protect mental health,
and the
to
quiet
rest,
decision to step
to
behind the
talk,
camera just
to
when she
slow
could have
down.
stayed in front of it forever.
Nobody talked about mental
Helena
health
wasn't trying to
back
be
then,
seen,
she said
but
later.
she saw it all.
Now I
and
make
lived
sure they
theirs.
know it's okay to.
While the industry
Even
chased
at her
spectacle,
busiest,
she stayed
Helena
still.
stayed private.
While others leaned into
Her
persona,
relationship with Michael
she kept hers
Hutchins,
close.
the
There's something that
INXS
happens
frontman,
when a model reaches
showed
that
side
level.
of her deep,
The job
passionate,
becomes more
but
than just the
shielded from
work.
public view.
It's branding,
They lived
interviews,
between
public
Paris and
appearances,
Copenhagen,
personality.
loved deeply, and kept
She
their
didn't
world
seem
small.
interested in any of that.
But tragedy struck when
And
Hudgens
still,
suffered a head
she
injury
stayed out of
after
the
a
circus.
confrontation.
She rarely
He
gave
changed
interviews.
emotionally, physically,
She avoided
and Helena stayed by
overexposure.
him, watching
While
the
the
man
industry
she loved
chased
become
celebrity,
someone lost in
Helena
pain.
stayed slightly out of frame,
She has spoken
close
with
enough to
quiet
feel
honesty
present.
about that
I've never
time, the
had
helplessness,
a strategy,
the heartbreak,
she once said.
the confusion.
I've just always followed my
Years
instinct.
later, when he died,
If I don't like
she
something,
said
I walk
nothing
away from
publicly.
it.
Silence
It wasn't
was
a
her form of
philosophy,
respect.
it was how she lived.
After years
She gave
of
what she
fame,
had to on set.
Helena could have retired, but
Then she left.
didn't.
No entourage,
She evolved.
no public persona.
She picked up a
And
camera,
maybe
turning her
that's what
gaze
gave us,
outward.
you know, the
Her photos
longevity
were
in
raw,
the business where
emotional,
everything is, you
full
know,
of
very,
life. She captured real people,
fickle
real
and,
moments, the quiet beauty
where you have
between
no
poses.
guarantee of, you know,
Her
how
work
long
appeared in Nylon,
anyone's
Elle,
going to be
and
interested
Marie
in
Claire,
working with you.
and in
The wind
exhibitions
was
from
cold,
New York
the
to
volcanic
Berlin.
rock left cuts
It
on their
wasn't
feet,
about
and they
perfection,
spent hours
but feeling.
barefoot in the surf.
Even
Helena
when she
pushed
continued
through it all
modeling,
without
it
complaint,
was on her terms.
but you wouldn't know it from
No
watching.
pressure, no chase
Her
for
stillness in that video,
just
the
authenticity.
way she looked just past
Motherhood
the camera,
added another layer.
burned into people's
Her son
memory.
Mingus, born
It turned
in
a moody love
1999,
song, navigating a world of
became her anchor.
castings, new expectations,
mattered,
and a
but home
culture that
mattered
treated
more.
fashion very
It
differently than
changed
back
how I
home.
moved through the world.
I've been modeling
she
in
said.
Paris for about
Now in her 50s,
2 years,
Helena Christensen
and
is
then I
still
did
both
some
muse
back in
and artist,
Denmark,
comfortable in her
but it's
skin,
completely different, you know.
confident in her
It's doing it here and
quietness.
doing it there. Here
She
it's,
doesn't chase
it's
relevance.
people's life, you
She
know. It's
defines
the way
it by
they,
being real.
the
You may know her
designers
face, but now,
and the
maybe,
photographers, there's so
you
much
know a
into
little
it, you
more
know.
about
The
the
whole
life
life in
behind
Denmark,
it.
nobody really